Good morning, students. So, in continuation of Unit 4 regarding Transport Layer Protocol, we have already done Transmission Control Protocol, which is most widely used Internet protocol. We have seen the features of TCP, we have seen the services that are provided by TCP, we have seen TCP operation, we have seen TCP segment format, we have done TCP as state machine, TCP as a reliable protocol as it looks into flow control, error control, and finally TCP's congestion control policies. So now we'll be continuing the remaining portion of the unit, and that is user datagram protocol. Now, if there are so many facilities, if there are so many features available in TCP, then why UDP? Why UDP is used? So in this lecture, while we will be understanding user datagram protocol, we will simultaneously be comparing TCP, their similarities and their differences. So this is the TCP IP protocol suite. Since we are studying UDP in this lecture, so I can say this is UDP IP protocol suite. Since IP is the common protocol of the network layer, IGMP, ICMP, ARP, RARP, they are the protocols which assist IP. And in this, figure shows the position of UDP. User datagram protocol, as it is called, and I'll be also specifying why datagram. It is a transport layer protocol. It is a part of Internet Protocol suite, and unlike TCP, it is unreliable and connectionless protocol. This is, the main feature. This is the summarized point which we will be elaborating further. So it means that there is no need to establish connection prior to data transfer as in TCP. Now, though TCP is a dominant transport layer protocol used with most of the internet services and provides assured delivery, reliability, and much more, but all these services cost us with additional overhead and latency. So here UDP comes into picture. For real-time services like computer gaming, voice, video communication, live conferences, we need UDP. Since high performance is needed, UDP permits packets to be dropped instead of processing delayed packets. There is no error checking in UDP, there is no flow control in UDP, there is no error control in UDP, and hence it saves bandwidth. So UDP is more efficient in terms of both latency and bandwidth. Now this is a process-to-process communication. As we know that both the transport layer protocols, TCP as well as UDP, they are process-to-process or provide port-to-port communication. So let's understand how. Now this gives the domain of two protocols, that is IP and UDP. The domain of IP. With the help of IP address and IP protocol, the host can be identified on the network, and once the host is identified, then the domain of UDP protocol is, since there are so many processes running in source host, there may be number of processes running on the destination host also. So which process of source host will communicate with which process of destination host is decided. Now this is the entire network seen as a pipe, the actual PDU flow. PDU means protocol data unit, and at the transport layer for TCP we use that protocol data unit, we call it as segment, and for UDP we call it as user datagram. Now as you can see, this is host H1 which is the source, this is host H2 which is destination, and here logical end-to-end transport. This is for TCP, which provides a logical connection between the two transport layer protocols. And if you see router R2, R3 and R4, these are intermediate routers, and only the functions of three layers come into picture. Now port numbers. What are port numbers? Just as we've discussed earlier, that three levels of addressing, three hierarchies exist for addressing. With the help of IP address, The correct network will be identified where the host lies. Then with the help of physical address, the frame will be formed and it will be delivered to the correct host. And with the port address, port number, the process number is identified as to which process wants to communicate with which process at destination machine. So if you see, this is showing full duplex operation. Here the data, if we see this direction, this is the data which is being encapsulated in UDP header. 13 is the destination UDP port number and 52,000 is the source UDP number. And similarly, when the data is traveling from this machine to this machine, then this becomes the source. 13 becomes the source number and 52,000 becomes the destination port number. Now again, if you see, this again specifies the domain of the two, that is the domain of IP and the domain of port numbers. With the help of IP address, the dotted decimal notation, the correct host is identified on the site or the network. And since a number of application programs may be running on that one single host, the port number identifies as to the UDP has to transfer the data to which process. So that is identified by means of destination port number. Socket address. Now what is socket address? IP address plus port number. That defines the socket number or the socket address. A socket is, bound to a port number actually. Now together they are known as socket address. So because web servers, they operate on TCP port 80, both of these sockets are TCP sockets. Whereas if you are connecting to the server operating on a UDP port, both the server and the client server will be UDP ports. Now this is again the process of encapsulation and decapsulation. This is the concept which we've already studied in the initial lectures also. So just let us understand, this is the process where the data or the message has been written. Then UDP encapsulate the data with UDP header, and if it's TCP, it will be encapsulated in TCP header. Then the entire data unit is encapsulated by IP header and it becomes a datagram or a packet at network layer. Then this is encapsulated into frame and this becomes a frame at data link layer. Finally, the bits or the bytes are handed over to the physical layer and they travel through the media, and at the destination, their decapsulation takes place, and finally, the UDP delivers the data to the correct process. Now, user datagram format. Just as we did TCP segment format, we have user datagram format. Now, as you see, and if you remember the TCP, if you remember the TCP header format, you can see that the header size was larger in TCP and it was variable from 20 bytes to 60 bytes, whereas in UDP it's 8 byte fixed and it is a simple header. So if we see the details, the first 8 bytes, they contain all the information that is necessary and it is quite simple protocol. So the fields, if we see of user datagram protocol, the source port, it is of 2 byte long and it is used to identify the port number of the source, the process number of the source. And the destination port, it's again the 2 byte field long and it is used to identify the port of destination packet or the process with which the source wants to communicate. That is, to what process the UDP will be handing over the message. The length is the length of UDP, that is including header plus data, and it is 16 bits field. And checksum is again a 2 byte field. If you see this checksum is a 16-bit field and it was present in the TCP header also. However, this checksum operation unlike TCP in UDP, it is not mandatory. So no error control or flow control is provided by UDP. And hence UDP now it depends on IP or ICMP for error reporting. We have done Internet Control Message Protocol in the earlier class. So I repeat, UDP depends on IP and ICMP for error reporting. Now UDP, just like TCP, also supports multiplexing. So now multiplexing means several processes can be combined together, multiplexed, and then encapsulated into IP header and transmitted. But if multiplexing takes place, we know that once it is handed over to the UDP protocol at the receiver end, it will be demultiplexed and finally delivered to the respective processes. Now, if we see, these are some features of UDP. It's a lightweight protocol, no connection establishment. There is no three-way handshake as it was in TCP, as it is connection oriented. So there is no initial overhead, no connection state. TCP has number of finite states in its operation. It has a small packet header that is it's a fixed 8 bytes header, whereas in TCP it's variable. So these are some applications which use UDP for their management. Similarly, further continuing with the features of UDP, there are no rate limitations, there is no throttling due to congestion and flow control. There are no congestion control mechanisms and policies and algorithms as it was in TCP. There is no retransmission taking place in UDP. And since just as we saw, there are no acknowledgement numbers, there are no sequence numbers. So the main thing is it has less overhead. If you can see, the header is very simple. And in contrast to TCP, UDP may provide multicast support. So the main feature is because of it's a lightweight protocol, it's extremely suitable for multimedia applications, for real-time applications, especially those applications which can tolerate some amount of data loss, but it cannot tolerate delay. So where delays are not tolerable, UDP is preferred. So this shows a comparative chart, a very quick, you can see in the table on the basis of various properties. On the basis of header, it has dynamic header, TCP has dynamic header, UDP has a static header. So just of a small 8 bytes. So the maximum segment will also be small because the header is overhead information is small. Now, as far as flow control is concerned, yes, the flow control is there in TCP. Flow control, error control exists in TCP because we saw that the receiver window is declared and the congestion window is declared, and it uses sequence numbers, to identify which segments the error has occurred, and it also depends upon retransmissions. But no such mechanism exists in UDP. Checksum, it exists in both, but it is compulsory in checksum and optional in UDP. Connection nature, as we discussed in the first slide, a TCP is connection oriented. Three-phase process, connection establishment, data transfer, connection termination, whereas this is connectionless. And because of this reason, since it is connectionless, it is called datagram. Because the datagram approach, there is no end-to-end connectivity. Error control, TCP uses its own mechanism. If you remember, we studied 4 types of timers in TCP. So different TCP versions have different timers, to control the error. Whereas in UDP, there is no such exclusive mechanism. It depends on a protocol called ICMP. Then TCP, it does not support multicast and broadcast, and UDP, it supports both. So now my question is to you all is just whether both of them support unicast or not. And these are certain examples of the application programs which are supported by TCP, and these are the application programs which prefer UDP. Uses of UDP. Now these are a sort of summary as to where UDP is preferred. It's a simple request response communication. The size of data is less. and hence there is a lesser concern of flow and error control. It's a sort of protocol which is suitable for multicasting. Then routing information protocol, which we'll be studying in Unit 3, prefers UDP. And just as I said, where delays are not tolerable, it is very much suited for real-time applications. These are certain implementations which use UDP as transport layer instead of TCP. Application layer, it can do some of the tasks through UDP, trace route, record route, timestamp. So UDP takes a datagram from network layer, attaches its header, and then sends it to user at the receiver end. Hence, it works fast. So this is in continuation when to use UDP, when mainly to reduce the requirement of resources, when using multicast and broadcast transfer, and for real-time applications. So if we quickly summarize at the end of this lecture, mainly there are two types of protocols at transport layer, TCP and UDP. Though TCP is widely used protocol, UDP finds its own applications. One is reliable, one is connection oriented, other is UDP is connectionless and it's unreliable, but it is more suited for real-time applications. So here are some exercises which I am giving you. Let us discuss this first exercise, and the remaining exercise you will manage yourself. Now the question says the transport layer protocols, you have to identify the correct option. Which transport layer protocol is used for? 1. Real-time multimedia, 2. File transfer, 3. DNS, and 4th email. So according to you, based on the features, which do you think is the correct answer? So the correct answer for this is, answer is C. How it is C? Because we just saw that both are transport layer protocol, but TCP is connection oriented, UDP is connectionless. So this makes TCP more reliable. UDP is stateless, which makes UDP suitable for purposes where error correction and error checking is less important than timely delivery. So based on that, the first application, that is real-time multimedia, UDP is more suitable. Then second is file transfer. That means it requires accuracy, correctness is required. Therefore TCP. DNS, again timely delivery is more important. Therefore UDP is preferred. And email, it is like same as file transfer. Hence TCP is preferred. So now you understand how according to the application the protocol is used. So this is one more exercise. You have to identify the correct option, go through it, apply the difference and identify which is the correct answer. This is the third exercise. You have to find out the correct option, go through it and apply the same logic and see which is the correct answer. Thank you.